On behalf of Rogini College of Engineering and Technology, myself, Justin Leo, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, welcome you all for this Basic Civil and Mechanical Engineering course video session. And the course code for this Basic Civil and Mechanical Engineering is B8252, and it's for the regulation 2017. Here in this video section, we'll be studying about two-stroke cycle petrol engine of Unit 4, internal combustion engines and power plants. So, introduction to two-stroke cycle petrol engine. And the objectives are listed out here for this basic civil and mechanical engineering course. So, the objective for the fourth unit is to enable the students to distinguish the components and the working principle of power plant units, IC engines, and RN AC system, refrigeration and air conditioning system. So the following are the syllabus for the internal combustion engines and power plants. So in this fourth unit, we will be studying about the two-stroke petrol engine. So these are all the textbooks and references for the basic civil and mechanical engineering course. So the course outcomes for the student upon completion of the fourth unit, they will be able to illustrate various IC engines and power plant systems and the subsystems with the layout. So this is a two-stroke cycle petrol engine. You can see here the animation. So this is the animation of this two-stroke petrol engine, and the name itself specifies the two-stroke. There are upward stroke and the downward stroke. So coming to the construction of this two-stroke cycle petrol engine, here you can see a piston. So this is the piston which reciprocates inside the cylinder, and this is a cylinder, and this piston is connected to the crankshaft by means of a connecting rod. That is, the small end of the connecting rod is connected to the piston, and the big end of the connecting rod is connected to the crankshaft. And you have intake port and exhaust port. Here you don't have any valves. Instead of valves, you have intake port, and you have the exhaust port, and one more port, that is a transfer port. So there are three ports here, and the closing and the opening of these three ports is obtained by the upward and downward movement of the piston. And this is the piston crown. This is the piston crown. So this is the piston crown, and this crown of the piston is made into a shape to perform this closing and opening of this port. So here you can see a spark plug. So the spark plug is in the petrol engine, this two-stroke petrol engine, which produces a spark at the end of the compression stroke. So these are all the these are all the fins for cooling the engine. So normally the two-stroke cycle petrol engines are air-cooled engine, and the first figure shows the upstroke, that is the upward stroke, and the second diagram shows the downward stroke. So here you can see the upward stroke, the piston is at the top dead center, and here you can see the downward stroke, the piston is at the bottom dead center. So the working of a two-stroke cycle petrol engine. So here the first stroke, that is during the first stroke, the compression, ignition, and inductance. So these are all carried out during this first stroke, that is the upward stroke of the piston. So here during this compression stroke, that is the first stroke, you have this compression stroke. Here the piston moves up from the bottom dead center to the top dead center, and you can see from this first diagram, both the transfer, this is a transfer port, and here in the animated, here you can see this is the transfer port, and during this upward stroke, the transfer port and the exhaust port are covered by the piston. So air fuel mixture is transferred already into the engine. Cylinder is compressed by moving the piston, that is in the combustion chamber. Okay, and the pressure and temperature increases at the end of the compression stroke. So this is what is compression stroke. And in the first stroke, the next is the ignition and inductance. So ignition as well as the inductance will happen in the first stroke itself. So here the piston almost reaches the top dead center. So it is a maximum position of the piston. And here you can see the air fuel mixture inside the cylinder is ignited. See here you can see in this animated diagram, ignition by the spark plug of the fuel air mixture. So the air fuel mixture inside the cylinder is ignited by means of this electric spark which is being produced by the spark plug. So you can see here. And at the same time, what happens? The inlet port is uncovered. Okay, the inlet port is uncovered. So what happens when the inlet port is open? So fresh air and fuel mixture would enter into the crankcase through this inlet port. And here you can see from this animation here, the inlet port is open, and once it is open, you can see the fresh fuel air mixture entering into the port. So that is ignition and inductance. And next is the second stroke. So during this second stroke, expansion and the crankcase compression happens. So here you can see that is the second stroke is nothing but the downward stroke of the engine. So here the piston, you can see from this animation, the piston moves from TDC to BDC. So here it has been moved from TDC, top dead center, towards the bottom dead center. So what happens? The burning gases. So here the exhaust port is open, and from this animated figure you can see when the exhaust port is open, there's burn gases is sent out through the exhaust port, and the burning gases would force the piston to move down, and thus the work is applied here. So when the piston moves down, the air fuel mixture in the crankcase, so when the piston is moved down, the air fuel mixture in the crankcase is partially compressed. So this compression is known as the crankcase compression. So that is what you can see here. Expansion and crankcase compression happens in the second stroke. And in the second stroke again, exhaust and transfer takes place. That is the downward stroke of the engine. So here you can see at the end of the expansion, and exhaust port is uncovered by the piston. So burned gases would escape through this exhaust port, to the atmosphere. And here you can see the transfer port is almost open. This animated diagram, you can see when the piston is at the BDC, the transfer port is open and the exhaust port is open. Okay. And the partially compressed air fuel mixture, which is already present in this crankcase, would enter into the combustion chamber through the transfer port. So here the crown, this is the crown of the piston. It is made of a deflecting shape. So as the fresh charge entering into this cylinder is deflected upward. Is deflected upward. So it is deflected upward. Okay. So in the cylinder. So thus the escape of fresh charge along with the excess gas is reduced. So that is the reason why there is some deflection in the piston crown in this two-stroke petrol engine. So with this, we come to an end with this two-stroke petrol engine. So thank you and have a great day.